The Seelbach Hilton Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky was built by two Bavarian brothers, Otto and Louis Seelbach, for whom it is named. Louis traveled to Louisville in 1869, and he wanted to learn about running a hotel. In order to learn the hotel business, Louis worked in several gentlemen's clubs, other hotels, restaurants around town. They decided the perfect spot for their new hotel was on the corner of 4th and Walnut Street, which is now called Muhammad Ali. They built it in the Beaux Arts Baroque style, and it has all kinds of turn-of-the-century elements to it. There's imported marbles from all over the world. The railings that are on the stairs are bronze and imported from France. They are gorgeous. There's all kinds of wood everywhere. This came from the West Indies and Europe. They had linens from Ireland, Turkish and Persian rugs all over the floor. Over the years, the hotel has been remodeled, redone, and a lot of the wonderfulness about it had been covered over. But now, today, it has been restored to its prior grandeur, and it looks so amazing. You definitely have to go into the lobby and just have a look at it. In this video, members of the Spooktacular crew, there were 15 of us, went on the Louisville Ghost Tour, and we got to go inside the Seelbach. And just the grand staircase that's right there at the front just gives you an idea of how massive and impressive this hotel is. Up at the top of the lobby, there are these hand-painted murals that have been covered over with paint. You can see them today. They depict different periods in Kentucky's history. The front desk is a semicircle, very cool looking, very old kind of style. This was a hotel that gangsters loved to hang out in. So you didn't just have the famous, not just in politics, but also on stage and screen. And since this was built in 1903, you know that Prohibition took place during some of the time that the Seelbach was here. This was a favorite place for people who wanted to get a drink during Prohibition. Obviously, it was right in the center of Kentucky's bourbon and whiskey country. So a lot of gangsters wanted to hang out here where they had all these distilleries. There was Lucky Luciano, Dutch Schultz, who was also known as the Beer Baron of the Bronx. There was Al Capone, of course. He was obviously the most legendary gangster of the 1920s, and he would visit the Seelbach a lot. He loved to gamble here, do a little bit of poker, blackjack, and, of course, bootlegging. The king of the bootleggers was George Remus. He was a Cincinnati mobster, and he got rich running whiskey northward during Prohibition. He became really good friends with F. Scott Fitzgerald, and because Fitzgerald took such a liking to Remus, he became the inspiration for the title character Jay Gatsby in The Great Gatsby. So obviously, F. Scott Fitzgerald liked to hang out here too. He got drunk one time that he actually got banned from the hotel for a while. I met up with Dina of the Twisted Philly podcast, and one of the first places we went to after we walked through the lobby was to this room called the Rathskeller. I was unaware that this was here, so I'm so thankful that Dina showed it to me. Al Capone had secret tunnels that went in and out of the Seelbach so that he could make a quick escape if the cops came by. Okay, they also had this quote-unquote secret place down at the bottom of the Seelbach. This is like a subterranean grotto ballroom. It's the only surviving room in the world completely encrusted in rookwood pottery from stem to stern, and it is really creepy, as you can see in the video that we have here. You can just imagine looking off into the corners that you've got some gangsters playing a little bit of pool over here, and some gangsters over here that might be playing a little bit of poker, and maybe there's some ladies of the evening hanging around the bar. There are strange designs and symbols all over the room, most notably images from the zodiac. Outside of this room, there's a zodiac clock, and then inside you have all of these different zodiac symbols that are on the ceiling. There's symbols for alchemy, there's Masonic symbols, heraldic symbols, and then the rockwood pelicans are all over on the columns. Supposedly they were there for good luck, but in occult mythology, the pelican is a symbol for something else, a symbol of resurrecting one's children after having killed them oneself by anointing them with one's own blood. Yikes. They also think of the pelican as being synonymous with the phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah, so just really cool. What kind of tile did you say this was again?
Rookwood.
Rookwood. So very cool.
It was made in Cincinnati in 1907.
Very, very cool. We'll be back a little bit later doing simulcasts and things like that with you guys, but I just wanted you to get a look at this because it's really, really cool. Actually, this ceiling is different over here. This looks like it's just been painted that way. Wow. I don't know if that's Leo family crest. Huh. Oh, and Gemini? Oh, okay, so I see the theming here is all zodiac.
Libra and Scorpio,
Virgo.
Capricorn,
Huh.
Sagittarius.
I wonder why they went with that as a
Well, there's the
decoration.
zodiac clock outside the room. I wonder if that...
Must be some kind of connection. There's Libra. Hey, Jerry.
Cancer.
He says we need to sneak out to Cave Hill Cemetery. Actually, I think I'm going to go there this afternoon before I get to the live show.
I noticed this last night.
Hey, Dolly. Yeah, I just happened to look up and I'm like, that ceiling is not tiled. That's really different.
Door.
And it looks like a medieval door. It's very cool. And we're thinking the theming goes, there's a clock out here too that's like a zodiac clock. Look at this door here. It's got like knights above it. I don't know if you could see the detail on their faces. But there's this clock out in the hallway. It's got the zodiac around it. And I'm not sure what the women, this one's holding an hourglass.
Showing a sundial?
Sundial, I think. That'd be my guess. So I'm not sure if they represent like time as females. I'm not sure. Very cool. Now we will come back a little bit later.
There are two ghosts that haunt the Seelbach Hotel. One of the ghosts that's here is reputedly Otto Seelbach. I don't know if it's because he loved the hotel so much. He lived here in an apartment that he felt attached to it, and so he's still there to this day. A lot of people claim that the TVs turn on by themselves in the wee morning hours. And then some of them wake up and actually see the full-bodied apparition of an older man who is looming over their bed, sitting on their bed, at the end of the bed. He likes to turn the air conditioner on low, and he does this to try to wake up the guests with really cold temperatures. He's a bit of a prankster. There are those who also claim that there is an unearthly visitor who appears to be an old woman in ragged clothing. Not exactly sure who that's supposed to be. The ghost that we're looking for near the elevator here in the front lobby is supposed to be the lady in blue. Now, the story that goes with this is that a woman and her husband had become estranged from each other. They decided to patch things up, and they decided they wanted to do it in a grand way. So why not go to the finest hotel in Louisville to rekindle your romance? She got there ahead of her husband. Unfortunately, he was killed in an accident on the way to the hotel. When she heard about it, she was so dismayed that she threw herself down the elevator shaft and was found later on at the bottom of it. That's the story that we were told on the Louisville Ghost Tour. Dina of the Twisted Philly podcast stayed at the Seelbach Hotel. I met up with her in the morning, and we recorded a little bit about the history and the hauntings of the Seelbach for her show. And Dina did a lot of research into this and found out that the story that we were told on the ghost tour may not exactly be true. There was a woman who was found in the elevator shaft on top of the elevator car in a blue dress. There were people who claimed it was an accident, some who said it was suicide. There are others who think it might be murder because pieces of her clothing were found in other parts of the hotel. And if you think about it, how in the world does a woman open up the doors of an elevator shaft to throw herself down, especially a woman who was not very big like the lady in blue? And the newspaper report said that it had been a service elevator, so surely this was not the elevator that was in the main lobby. Well, I heard from Jeremy Collins of podcasts we listened to, was staying with Dina as well, and he told me that their room, they'd been told by the historian for the Seelbach, was right next to where the elevator shaft had been. And Jeremy had felt a little bit of an oppressive feeling outside of their door before he even knew that the elevator shaft where this woman had been found had been next to their room. So was there her presence there? We also wondered, as we were looking more into the story, this woman had stayed in a row house, even though she was called Mrs. Jeremy had pointed out, a lot of women at that time who stayed in row houses that were called Mrs., It was kind of a cover for the fact that they were a lady of the evening. Now, if you think about the different activities that were going on at the Seelbach, especially down in the Rathskeller, is it possible that this woman was a lady of the evening and messed with the wrong person and ended up dead because of that? The man who they think murdered her later ended up murdered himself. It's an amazing story, I'm sure, and we'd love to get to the bottom of it and find out more about it. Needless to say, people see a woman in a blue dress walking up and down the stairs there in the front lobby, and especially going in and out of the elevator shaft. It was a cold winter day in 1987 when one of the hotel chefs was preparing waffles and omelets in the Oak Room anteroom for Sunday brunch. He looked out toward the number 3 elevator, and to his surprise, he saw a lady with long dark hair wearing a long blue chiffon dress walk into the elevator. The doors were still closed. It really freaked him out, and he reported it to security. Within minutes of his report, a housekeeper from the second floor reported seeing the same lady, and in both of those reports, the doors to the elevator were never open. The name that is associated with the blue lady is Patricia Wilson, and she must have worn some kind of old lady flowery perfume smell, because that's one of the things that they tend to smell around the elevators is this perfume. They also feel cold spots. So is the Seelbach Hotel haunted? That is for you to decide. One thing is for sure, it is a gorgeous hotel, a must-see if you're in Louisville.
Gatsby's on 4th. Thanks for joining us, guys.